If you're the kind of person who likes to know what's coming, who prefers a little warning before life throws a curveball, living near a fault line can be a nerve-wracking experience. Fault lines are like the Earth's own secret passageways, hidden cracks deep beneath our feet, quietly storing up energy for years, decades, or even centuries. Most days, you probably don't even think about them. But what if the ground beneath you isn't as quiet as you thought? That's why today's news is so important. There's a so-called dead fault, one that scientists thought was finished, done, retired from the earthquake game, that's suddenly showing signs of life. Imagine a volcano that's been dormant for centuries, suddenly rumbling back to life. That's the kind of surprise we're talking about here, but with the ground itself. Don't change the channel just yet. This story could have a direct impact on you, your family, and your community. Even if you've never felt an earthquake before, what's happening now could change everything you thought you knew about your safety. For decades, geologists and seismologists believed this particular fault line was inactive. It hadn't produced a significant quake in living memory. The ground above it seemed stable, the charts showed no recent activity, and the local communities built their lives around the assumption that the danger had passed. People built homes, schools, and businesses, confident that the earth beneath them was at rest. But if there's one thing history teaches us, it's that the Earth has a long memory and a tendency to repeat itself. Old newspaper clippings, faded photographs, and time-lapse footage of shifting landscapes remind us that what seems quiet now may have been violent and unpredictable in the past. Digging into ancient records, scientists have uncovered evidence that this fault has ruptured before. When it did, the results were catastrophic. Entire towns shaken, buildings toppled, and lives changed in an instant. The scars of those quakes are still visible in old stone buildings, cracked foundations, and the stories passed down through generations. Fast forward to today, and the story is changing again. Seismographs, those sensitive machines that can detect even the tiniest movements in the earth, are lighting up with a new kind of activity. Microquakes, so small you'd never feel them, are being recorded in clusters along the fault. These aren't just random blips, they're a pattern, a signal that something deep underground is shifting. And it's not just the seismographs. High-tech satellites orbiting hundreds of miles above us are picking up subtle changes in the landscape. They can measure the ground moving by just a few millimeters. Movements invisible to the naked eye, but significant enough to raise alarms among scientists. These shifts suggest that stress is building up along the fault, like a tightly wound spring ready to snap. All the evidence is pointing in one direction. This so-called dead fault is waking up. It's not just a blip on the radar, it's a real, measurable change. The ground is stirring, and the question on everyone's mind is, what happens next? Why does this matter so much? Because millions of people live, work, and go to school right on top of this fault. Major cities, bustling suburbs, and quiet rural communities all sit within the potential impact zone. The infrastructure, roads, bridges, power lines, water systems, wasn't necessarily built with a major quake in mind. If the fault slips, the consequences could be enormous. Even the small shakes we're seeing now, cracks in the pavement, rattling dishes, a brief shudder in the floor are like warning shots. They're the Earth's way of telling us that something bigger could be brewing underground. These microquakes might not cause damage, but they're a reminder that the fault is active and that we need to pay attention. That's why experts are watching this situation so closely. Teams of geologists, engineers, and emergency planners are poring over data, running simulations, and updating risk assessments. They know that sometimes, the quietest faults are the ones that surprise us the most. A fault that's been silent for decades, or even centuries, can suddenly unleash a massive quake with little warning. To get ahead of the danger, scientists are deploying new seismic sensors and using drones to map the fault in unprecedented detail. They're collaborating with international teams, sharing data in real time, and using artificial intelligence to spot patterns that humans might miss. The goal? To give communities as much warning as possible, and to help people prepare for whatever comes next. So, what can you do? The first step is not to panic. Earthquakes are unpredictable, but preparation can make all the difference. Start by talking with your family about what to do if the ground starts shaking. Make a plan for where to meet, how to communicate, and what supplies you'll need if you have to leave your home quickly. Know your evacuation routes, both at home and at work or school. Practice your plan so everyone knows what to do, even if you're separated when a quake hits. Familiarize yourself with the safest spots in your home, like under sturdy tables or against interior walls, away from windows and heavy objects that could fall. Secure heavy furniture, bookshelves, and appliances to the walls. Move heavy items to lower shelves, and make sure nothing can fall and block your exits. These simple steps can prevent injuries and save lives during a quake. Build an emergency kit with enough food, water, and medical supplies to last at least 3 days. Include flashlights, batteries, a first aid kit, important documents, and any medications you or your family might need. Don't forget supplies for pets too. Practice earthquake drills regularly, so everyone knows what to do when the shaking starts. Review your emergency checklist and update your supplies as needed. The more prepared you are, the safer you'll be if disaster strikes. Get involved in your community's preparedness efforts. Attend local meetings, sign up for emergency alerts, and encourage your neighbors to make their own plans. When everyone works together, the whole community becomes more resilient. Remember, the Earth is always moving beneath our feet, even when we can't feel it. Tectonic plates are constantly shifting, building up stress along fault lines until it's finally released in a sudden jolt. We can't stop earthquakes from happening, but we can be ready for them. Advances in technology are making it possible to get a few seconds of warning before a big quake hits. Early warning systems can send alerts to your phone, giving you just enough time to take cover or move to a safer spot. Stay informed and make sure you're signed up for these alerts if they're available in your area. The awakening of a dead fault is a powerful reminder that nature is full of surprises. By staying curious, staying informed, and taking action now, you can protect yourself and your loved ones from the unexpected. For more on nature's wildest surprises, hit subscribe and stay curious.